Hello everybody. Right, had a bit of a breakthrough in that I today have sanded these pieces of wood, and the breakthrough would be that it would appear that dollop and sanding is the way to go. So, for example, these were the bits that I sanded on the previous video clip, and power sanding them down, although it may look a bit messy, it is actually quite tidy. But also, wherever I have put a repair in, I now don't have the staining of the glue on the wood. The only thing that's been left is so for example, I mean there's nothing to show you really, but for example around these two, these were obviously splodged on, but sanding it down using the orbital power sander has helped massively. The orbital power sander is definitely better than the triangle one for this particular type of thing, because it was very quickly getting down to level and very quickly removing any traces of glue excess around the bits. Also, where I've had sort of smallish features on some of the bits of wood where I was contemplating, should I fill it, should I sand it? I think in hindsight now I would have been better off just sanding it. So I think in future that's what I'll try and do. But where glue repairs are needed, sometimes yes, it needs to be used a bit of finesse, like when repairing a crack or something like that, or split. But when filling the holes, I can go a little bit more splodge and sand, because it's definitely worked. But what it has meant is that now there is a hell of a lot of sawdust outside, but not only that, these are covered in it. So I think this one is just about turned towards this cloth, so I'm probably giving that a clean. I've got another cloth. Now I was going to try, or I was going to use white spirits for the cleaning of these, but that was to get rid of the excess glue. Because I've already got rid of the excess glue, I don't need to use the white spirits. I don't necessarily need to neutralise the wood surfaces or anything like that. So I am just going to go with a damp cloth. Now what I may do, I would like, if possible, to make a start today on putting coats on these pieces of wood, because in all honesty, for the last week or so, I have literally not done much at all. So I'll stinks a bit up. Might have previously been used with white spirits. So I probably should, just in case, probably should wear some gloves. Yeah, the last week or so, I've been a bit bad really, in that I've been drinking more than I have done in the last 10 years. The weather's not helping. Nice weather, you want refreshing drinks, and yeah. But the bit that I've got to be careful of is, a few times I've sort of said to myself, right, I need to sort of stop drinking, because I know it's not good for me and it's making me very lazy. It's what I've not done a lot on this week. It's made me very lethargic when I'm waking up. Okay, I feel alright when I'm drinking, but I ain't doing none of this while I've had a drink. And the day after, I feel like shit. So a bit like today, feeling a bit worse for wear today. but punishing myself by making sure I do stuff, which is good. But when it comes to the next time I'm out and about doing a bit of shopping, and in my mind I've already said, well, you don't need to buy any more beer, that I don't go against that. Because not the last lot that I bought the beer time before the last time. I'd actually said to myself, I'm not going to buy anymore. But I was near a cheap booze shop, so I thought, well, I'll just go and have a look, see what the prices are like, because I know Steve likes his beers, and they had beers I liked at a decent price. 18 cans of Stella for £18. And £1 a can, you can't go wrong with that, really. So I crumbled on that day and bought them. And then did the same again a few days ago. So it's kind of gone from having the odd one to having a couple to, what was it? Wednesday I think I had about 6 or 7, which is a lot for me. Or no, it was Tuesday. Yeah, it was Tuesday, because I was trying to do some driving practice and I couldn't fucking drive. Well, I could, I was just crashing into everything. And then last night, didn't drink until after the race that we were doing. And within, an hour of sorting out the race footage, which takes about, from starting it takes 40 minutes. So within an hour, I'd had 4 cans and then carried on drinking for quite a bit after that as well. So I'm a little bit concerned about not necessarily about the drinking as such, but not controlling myself. For me, the concern is, for example, going to a shop and in my mind saying to myself, you are not going to buy beer, and then buying beer, because that means I'm not in control. Which is a concern, because if you think about it, if you're not in control, then if bad things are happening and you're not in control, what happens then? And that is a concern. Right, so with these, I was kind of saying, yeah, obviously I want to get these clean, and I would like to, if I can, make a start on staining these, but we'll see how they dry, because I don't want to rush anything on them. And also, once I've given these a wipe down, I'm going to need to clean the table, because that's got wood dust on it. I mean, I did the sanding outside, but there's that much on all of this that it kind of gets knocked off everywhere. Now, for anyone that's been watching my videos for some time, you might remember that some time ago I did a video where I built some gates for my mum's garden around the pond. Unfortunately, it would seem that the pond has become victim to attack from an animal, I think, probably birds, because I think a couple of the fish have died. They've disappeared, and fish don't just fucking walk off. Excuse me. Yeah, the pond isn't retaining water in half of it. The deeper part it is, but I filled it up when I was there a few days ago, Monday, and unfortunately by yesterday it was half empty again. So even though on Monday I sort of picked up a load of supplies for my mum to hopefully finish off the pond, because that was one of the aims for this summer, was to get the pond finished. But with it having sprung a leak, that's going to be a bit awkward, because I mean, we was planning on tidying up around the pond and getting it all finished off. But now, I mean, I had said to her previously, I said to her on Monday as well, I said, look, we'll fill it up, and if the water goes down, we know we've got a leak, and if we've got a leak, then it's got to come up, because it's a pond liner, it's not plastic, it's not like you can fix it. And I'd said to her some time ago, actually, I said, look, if it turns out that the pond gets punctured, right, or anything like that, because she thought she may have been losing a bit of water towards the end of the year, I said, well, if that's the case, it's not a problem, because it means, okay, yes, we'd have to get the fish out, we'd have to pull everything up, but we'd get to start all over again and do it properly. Because that's the thing that I was fighting against when sorting the pond out for her, was that she basically rescued the fish from a garden and didn't have a pond, and basically dug a bit of a hole, put some liner in it, put the fish in it, and then tried to make the pond bigger. She hadn't levelled anything, so when she wanted to put more water in, she couldn't, because one part of the pond liner was much higher than the other part, and it just hadn't occurred to her that it all needs to be levelled. So anyway, it was a lot of fucking about with it. But like I say, I'd always sort of said, was, look, if you have a problem with it, we have to start again. That's not the worst thing that could have happened. We're now in that situation. Now, she's already got pond liner, because she had it anyway, or she said she had. So one of the things that I think I'm probably going to end up doing over the next few months will be perhaps helping her do the pond again. Now, obviously, this time, I mean, I've already been doing a bit of research. I did some research last summer when we was doing a bit on the pond, but it was more about how to deal with stuff in the situation she was in. Whereas recently I've been doing a bit more research on like ponds from the beginning, and there was one that I came across which the shape is pretty much identical to what my mum's got. Size is also very similar, but got some very interesting features which I think, if done right, would look absolutely fine in my mum's garden. But, and this is the thing, I think one of the things that perhaps my mum hadn't realised was that with a lot of ponds, the liner, people hold the liner down by having rocks or bricks in the actual pond itself as a feature, but that hold the liner down, not on top of the liner, on top of the surface of the soil next to it. So yeah, there was definitely a few complications with it, but at least this now would basically be able to go, right, get the fish into a tub with the water, and start all over again. Dig out a proper hole with part of it, say about so deep, and then sort of teardrop shape about so deep, and then at the wider part of the teardrop, a deeper part, say about another that deep, which is where the fish and stuff would go in the winter time, but giving very flat bottoms, because this was the other thing, the pond didn't have a very flat bottom at all, so trying to put anything in the pond, like a fountain an aerator or any plants or anything like that. Everything was just wanting to fucking tip over all the time. But if you make each tier level, or at least level-ish, then you've got a much better starting point of being able to put a fountain in, put features in, and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see how we get on with that. But also, I mean, as soon as my mum actually started with the pond, where she put it was, I mean, it's under trees, it's in a bit of a wildlife bit, which, okay, fair enough, it's a wildlife pond. But obviously it does get fucking bombarded with leaves and twigs and God knows what else. And I did build a frame for her that went over the pond to protect it in autumn when everything's falling off the trees, and it worked really well. Which is still available and maybe rotting a little bit now, but it's not covering the pond at the minute. But this is the thing, this is why I think it's birds that have done it, because they took the frame away because obviously the seasons had changed, and then not long after that is when they started having problems, and I think it's birds have been attacking the fish, and because there was a bit of decent weather as well, obviously a bit of evaporation, water levels dropped a little bit, birds are attacking the fish, or whatever it is that's in the pond, punctures a hole in it. Or it could be something from the other side, because I don't know if I ever mentioned it, I'm sure I would have mentioned it, but when I was doing some of the levelling of the ground around the pond, well, I say around the pond, it was part of the fucking pond basically, I found mice. So it's possible that a mouse has punctured it, or perhaps even a mole, because they do have moles there. Now normally they don't really bother too much with the actual sort of wildlife part of the garden, but the lawn they fucking destroy. But so yeah, so where it is, it's not necessarily in the best of places really. And to be honest, I think next time I'm there, I will perhaps say to them, so look, if you at any point you thought about having the pond somewhere else in the garden, now's the time to make that decision, because they've got a big enough lawn area that they could have the pond in, but if they did, they would potentially need to secure it off from the dogs, because Harry loves water and he will just go fucking swimming in the fucker. So it's also possible that one of the dogs may have punctured the pond as well. So obviously the gates that I made were part of the securing the pond area, which was going to end up being a bit of a sort of sit down and chill area with a pond, which we never got to finish off. Now, my mum might not want to move the pond because of the gates being where they are, but I could always use that bit of the garden for something else. Because I know, for example, the dogs have been eating a lot of the plants that my mum tries to grow. So, and if you've never experienced a dog that's fucking overeaten on gooseberries, trust me, they fucking shit a lot. If it's small dogs, it probably won't be a problem, but when they're big dogs, it's not nice. And strawberries, dogs on strawberries, fucking hell. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, moving the pond would be of no, it'd probably actually be easier. Because it would mean we wouldn't have to move the fish, because the pond that they're in at the moment, the deep bit is still holding water, so they're okay there for the moment. But yeah, so it would be easy enough to move the pond, but it would be a bit of a ball ache to try and secure it. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see, I suppose. Oh, yeah, I've been waffling enough now, but I've almost finished this. What's I almost finished cleaning these up. Now I'll see how I get on throughout the rest of the day. I mean, I really would like to try and get at least one coat of stain on these today, because like I said, I've been slacking. But I have got a number of other things to do. I need, kind of desperately need to do some clothes washing, which I'm still doing by hand. So yeah, so I need to try and get some of that done. Also, I've not been eating at decent times the last few days, or this week. Well, since Tuesday, no, Monday. Yeah, I've not been eating properly, so I need to make sure that I'm properly fed. I mean, it's probably what time now? It's probably about 3 o'clock, something like that. I've not had anything to eat yet today, which is bad of me, but I haven't eaten today because I forced myself into being active and doing stuff before I do eat, so that I don't just sort of eat and then go, oh, fuck it. Whereas now, once I've finished wiping these down, I can go do my washing, or make a start on the washing, and then I can, after that, get a bite to eat, because then at least I've accomplished 3 of the things that are on my list of things to do today, which was sand the wood, clean the wood, do my washing. So they're my 3 targets for today, and if I can get them done, then great. And then once I've eaten, if what's been happening recently happens again, which is sort of getting tired after eating and falling asleep, I can have a nap, knowing that I have at least been busy today and I've been active and I've done some of the things that I need to do. So what I'm going to so we'll see if I can get a coat and a stain on there. I really would like that, because yeah, how long's it been now? 8 weeks maybe, something like that. It's been a while, and to be honest, if I'd have been, it's weird because I've gone from being motivated to over-motivated, to doing too much, to backing off a bit and being okay and getting plenty done, to doing very little. I mean, when did I did a short video clip on these yesterday to see how it was going to sand down, but that was like a precursor for today. Okay, so it was preparation and knowledge for today. Well, before that, I'd not touched these since what? Maybe a week. I'm not entirely sure. It was a while. So yeah, so really I should have had this finished, I think, by now, easily by now. And I did wonder whether parts of the frustration of this particular shelf of having to do the repairs 3 times and sanding twice, whether it had sort of done my head in a bit and got a bit monotonous. I don't think it had, but it did make me think. So, well, you know what, if my mind is sort of going, you know, oh, I don't want to do more staining on this today, then okay, maybe I could take the stain off the legs of the table that I need to do, because that's something that I could do outside. I could go and sit outside and it shouldn't be that much hard work really. Say that, but yeah, so that's something that I could do to do things a little differently, perhaps. But we shall see how we get on. Because excuse me, I've got all of the stuff that I need to crack on with this and get this done. So the only thing that's holding me back now is me. So I'm going to stop talking and I can get cracked on.